Welcome to Daily Global Motivation, the space where clarity is rebuilt, focus is reclaimed, and your attention is no longer stolen by a world that profits from keeping you scattered, overwhelmed, and emotionally exhausted. We live in an era where distraction is not accidental, but engineered, where notifications compete for your mind. Noise replaces silence, and urgency replaces intention, slowly pulling you further away from the goals that once mattered deeply to you. Today's message is about how to stay focused on your goals in a distracted world. Not by fighting distraction with force, but by building a mindset strong enough to protect your attention, your energy, and your long-term vision. If you have ever felt busy but unfulfilled, constantly occupied yet strangely disconnected from real progress, this message is for you, because distraction does not destroy goals loudly. It erodes them quietly through lost focus and divided attention. Focus is not about doing more, but about protecting what matters from everything that does not, and learning this skill is no longer optional. It is essential for anyone serious about personal growth. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share this message with someone who feels overwhelmed by noise but still believes in their potential, because what follows is designed to help you reclaim your direction in a world that constantly tries to take it from you. Staying focused on your goals has become increasingly difficult, not because you lack discipline or ambition, but because the modern world is designed to fragment attention, reward impulsive behavior, and keep your mind constantly reacting instead of intentionally directing itself. Every notification, headline, message, and piece of content pulls at your awareness, training your brain to seek stimulation instead of depth, novelty instead of progress, and urgency instead of purpose. Over time, this conditioning weakens your ability to sustain attention on long-term goals, making focus feel exhausting even when the goal truly matters to you. This does not mean you are broken, it means your environment is overwhelming your mental system. Understanding this removes shame and replaces it with strategy, because you stop blaming yourself and start recognizing the forces working against your focus. Awareness creates distance. Distance restores choice. Choice returns control. And control is the foundation of sustained focus. Distraction becomes dangerous not because it wastes time occasionally, but because it rewires your relationship with effort, conditioning you to expect constant stimulation and instant feedback while your goals require patience, repetition, and delayed gratification. When your brain becomes accustomed to quick rewards, long-term work begins to feel dull, heavy, or frustrating, even if it is meaningful. This mismatch creates internal resistance, where part of you wants progress and another part craves escape. The result is constant switching, half-effort, and unfinished momentum that leaves you feeling busy but stagnant. Focus requires depth, and depth requires discomfort at first, because it asks your mind to slow down in a world that moves fast. When you understand this, you stop interpreting discomfort as failure and start seeing it as the entry point to real progress. Discomfort becomes a signal of engagement. Engagement builds endurance, endurance sustains focus, and sustained focus is what turns effort into achievement. Another reason focus feels fragile is because goals often compete with distractions that offer emotional relief, not just entertainment, making distraction feel comforting rather than harmful. When stress, uncertainty, or self-doubt rise, the mind naturally seeks escape, and distractions offer an easy way to avoid uncomfortable thoughts without solving the underlying issue. This avoidance slowly trains the brain to retreat whenever focus becomes challenging, weakening your ability to stay present with difficult but necessary work. Over time, this pattern creates a cycle where goals remain important in theory but neglected in practice. Breaking this cycle requires understanding that focus is not just a productivity skill, but an emotional regulation skill. Emotional regulation allows you to stay with discomfort. Staying with discomfort builds resilience. Resilience strengthens concentration, and concentration protects your goals from emotional sabotage. Focus also suffers when goals are vague, overwhelming, or disconnected from meaning, because the mind struggles to commit energy to directions that feel unclear or emotionally empty. When you do not regularly reconnect with why your goals matter, distractions easily take priority, because they offer immediate stimulation while your goal feels distant and abstract. Clarity transforms focus by turning effort into purpose rather than obligation. Purpose reduces internal resistance. Reduced resistance improves consistency. Consistency stabilizes progress. When your goal feels alive, focus feels justified. And when focus feels justified, it becomes easier to protect. Ultimately, staying focused in a distracted world begins with understanding that focus is not about resisting temptation endlessly, but about designing your mindset and environment so that your attention naturally returns to what matters most. You are not meant to overpower distraction through willpower alone, because willpower is limited and easily depleted. Instead, focus grows when awareness replaces autopilot, intention replaces reaction, and meaning replaces noise. This understanding sets the foundation for reclaiming your attention, because once you know why focus is hard, you can begin building systems and habits that make it possible again. One of the most powerful yet underestimated reasons people struggle to stay focused is not distraction itself, but the lack of clear, emotionally grounded goals that give focus a direction worth protecting. When your goals are vague, borrowed from others, or disconnected from your values, your mind has no strong reason to resist distraction, because nothing feels important enough to demand sustained attention. Clarity turns focus from effort into alignment, because when you know exactly what you are working toward and why it matters, your attention naturally gravitates back to that direction even after interruption. This is why people can focus intensely on things they care deeply about without feeling drained, while struggling to focus on goals that feel forced or undefined. Emotional clarity fuels mental endurance. Endurance stabilizes concentration. Concentration protects progress. And protected progress is what keeps goals alive in a distracted world. Clarifying your goals means moving beyond surface-level desires and identifying what success actually represents in your life. Because goals rooted in ego, comparison, or external validation rarely hold attention under pressure. When a goal is meaningful, it activates purpose rather than obligation, making focus feel justified rather than restrictive. Purpose creates intrinsic motivation, which is far more resilient than motivation fueled by fear or approval. This intrinsic drive acts as an internal compass, guiding your attention back to your goal whenever distraction pulls you away. Without this compass, your focus drifts easily because nothing anchors it. Anchored focus resists noise. Resistance preserves momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence strengthens commitment. And commitment makes focus sustainable rather than fragile. Another crucial element of goal clarity is breaking large ambitions into defined, actionable directions, because the mind struggles to focus on abstractions but thrives on concrete steps. When goals feel overwhelming or distant, distraction becomes appealing as a form of relief from uncertainty. Clear structure reduces this anxiety by showing the mind exactly what to do next, eliminating the paralysis that often leads to avoidance. When you know your next step, focus becomes simpler. Simplicity reduces friction. Reduced friction increases follow-through. Follow-through reinforces belief in your ability to progress. Belief stabilizes focus. Over time, this clarity transforms focus from a constant struggle into a repeatable behavior. Goal clarity also strengthens focus by reducing internal conflict, because uncertainty creates competing priorities that fragment attention. When you are unclear about what truly matters, everything feels urgent, and your attention becomes scattered across too many demands. Clear goals establish hierarchy, allowing you to distinguish between what supports your long-term vision and what merely consumes time. This hierarchy makes decision-making easier because you can quickly evaluate whether an activity deserves your attention. Easier decisions reduce mental fatigue. Reduced fatigue preserves focus. Preserved focus deepens engagement. Engagement accelerates progress. And accelerated progress reinforces the importance of staying focused. Ultimately, staying focused in a distracted world requires giving your attention something worthy of its protection. Because focus is not just about saying no to distraction, but about saying yes to a direction that matters deeply to you. When your goals are clear, meaningful, and actionable, distraction loses much of its power, because your mind has a stronger pull toward purpose than toward noise. Focus stops being something you force and becomes something you return to naturally. And once your focus has direction, staying committed in a distracted world becomes not only possible, but inevitable. One of the most important mindset shifts for staying focused on your goals in a distracted world is understanding that attention is not something you either have or do not have, but a skill that must be trained deliberately, patiently, and consistently over time. Many people assume focus should come naturally, and when it doesn't, they interpret wandering attention as a personal flaw rather than a predictable outcome of an overstimulated environment. This misunderstanding leads to frustration, self-judgment, and eventual disengagement from goals that actually matter deeply. Training attention means accepting that distraction will occur, not as failure, but as part of the process of strengthening focus. Every moment you notice your attention drifting and consciously bring it back, you are reinforcing a mental muscle that grows stronger with repetition. Repetition builds endurance. Endurance stabilizes concentration. Stabilized concentration increases depth. Depth transforms effort into meaningful progress, and meaningful progress reinforces the value of staying focused. Training attention also requires slowing down enough to notice where your mind goes when it is not directed, because awareness is the gateway to control. When you operate on autopilot, distractions pull you effortlessly, but when you are aware, you regain the power to choose where your attention lands. This choice may feel small in the moment, but over time it reshapes your cognitive habits, making focus easier to sustain and distraction easier to release. Awareness interrupts impulsive behavior. Interrupted impulses reduce fragmentation. Reduced fragmentation improves continuity. Continuity deepens Engagement. Engagement sustains effort, and sustained effort allows goals to move from intention into reality despite constant external noise. Another key aspect of training attention is learning to sit with mental discomfort instead of escaping it, because focus often breaks at the exact moment when effort becomes mentally challenging. When concentration deepens, the mind naturally looks for relief through distraction, especially if it has been conditioned to avoid stillness or difficulty. Choosing to stay present during these moments rewires your brain to tolerate cognitive strain without panicking or disengaging. This tolerance is essential for long-term goal pursuit, because meaningful work almost always includes phases that feel slow, demanding, or emotionally uncomfortable. Staying present during discomfort builds resilience. Resilience strengthens patience. Patience protects consistency. Consistency compounds results, and compounded results make focus feel worthwhile rather than draining. Training attention also means setting realistic expectations about how long focus can be sustained, because expecting perfect concentration leads to discouragement and unnecessary self-criticism. Focus is not about never getting distracted, but about reducing the time it takes to return after distraction occurs. Each return strengthens neural pathways associated with intentional attention. Over time, these returns happen faster and with less emotional resistance. Faster recovery preserves momentum. Preserved momentum prevents abandonment. Prevention of abandonment keeps goals alive. And goals kept alive through repeated return eventually become achievements. Ultimately, staying focused in a distracted world requires treating attention like a discipline rather than a personality trait, because disciplines grow through practice, structure, and forgiveness rather than judgment and pressure. When you train your attention daily, even in small ways, you build a foundation of mental control that protects your goals from erosion. Focus stops being something you hope for, and that becomes something you practice. And once focus becomes a practice, distraction no longer feels like a threat, but simply another moment where you choose your direction again. One of the most effective yet underestimated ways to stay focused on your goals in a distracted world is understanding that focus is not sustained by willpower alone, but heavily influenced by the environment you place yourself in every single day. When your surroundings are filled with constant interruptions, visual noise, and easy access to distraction, your mind is forced into a defensive position, spending energy resisting temptation instead of investing energy into meaningful work. Over time, this constant resistance creates fatigue, making focus feel like a struggle rather than a natural state. Designing your environment intentionally shifts this dynamic by reducing the number of decisions your brain has to make about where attention should go. Fewer decisions reduce cognitive load. Reduced cognitive load preserves mental energy. Preserved mental energy strengthens concentration. Stronger concentration deepens engagement. And deeper engagement is what allows goals to progress despite a world that constantly competes for your attention. Your environment trains your behavior whether you realize it or not, because repeated exposure to certain cues conditions automatic responses that shape how easily you focus or drift. When distractions are visible, accessible, and normalized, your brain learns to reach for them instinctively, even when you intend to stay focused. By contrast, when your environment supports focus through simplicity, structure, and boundaries, attention becomes easier to sustain without force. This might mean removing unnecessary digital notifications, creating a dedicated space for goal-oriented work, or setting clear physical boundaries between focus, time, and leisure. These changes may seem small, but their cumulative effect is powerful, because the brain responds more strongly to repeated cues than to abstract intentions. Supportive cues guide behavior. Guided behavior reduces friction. Reduced friction increases consistency, and consistency protects long-term goals from daily erosion. Designing your environment for focus also means recognizing that digital spaces are environments too, and they often demand far more attention than physical ones. Constant access to information, social comparison, and rapid stimulation fragments attention at a neurological level, making sustained focus increasingly difficult. Creating digital boundaries, such as limiting certain apps, scheduling intentional connection time, or separating work devices from entertainment devices, helps reclaim control over your attention. These boundaries are not about restriction, but about protection. Protection preserves clarity. Clarity strengthens intention. Intention guides action. Action moves goals forward. And goals move forward more reliably when your environment stops pulling you in opposing directions. Another critical aspect of environmental design is aligning your surroundings with your identity and goals. Because environments that reflect who you are becoming reinforce focus subconsciously. When your space reflects growth, clarity, and intention, your behavior naturally follows that direction. This alignment reduces internal conflict because your surroundings stop sending mixed signals about what matters. Reduced conflict improves emotional regulation. Improved regulation stabilizes focus. Stable focus supports deeper work. Deeper work accelerates progress. Over time, your environment becomes a silent partner in your goal pursuit. reinforcing the habits and behaviors you want to sustain rather than sabotaging them through constant distraction. Ultimately, staying focused in a distracted world becomes far more achievable when you stop relying on self-control alone and start shaping an environment that works with your goals instead of against them. When your surroundings support focus, attention returns more easily after interruption. Effort feels lighter and progress becomes more consistent. You are no longer fighting your environment every day, but being supported by it. And when focus is supported externally as well as internally, your goals stop feeling fragile and start feeling protected, even in a world designed to pull your attention in every direction. One of the most powerful ways to stay focused on your goals in a distracted world is by creating daily focus rituals that signal to your mind when it is time to engage deeply and intentionally. Because rituals remove randomness and replace it with structure your brain can recognize and respect. Without rituals, focus is left to chance, constantly interrupted by mood, circumstance, or external noise, making progress unreliable and emotionally exhausting. Rituals work because they reduce the need for motivation, training your mind to enter a focused state through repetition rather than force. When the same cues appear consistently, such as a specific time, environment, or preparatory action, your brain begins associating them with concentration and purpose. This association shortens the transition into focus. Shorter transitions reduce resistance. Reduced resistance increases follow-through. Follow-through strengthens consistency, and consistency is what keeps goals alive despite constant distraction. Daily focus rituals also create psychological boundaries that protect your attention from being diluted by competing demands, because they establish clear beginnings and endings for deep work rather than allowing focus to bleed into chaos. When focus time is undefined, it is easily interrupted and rarely respected, even by yourself. Rituals communicate importance, both internally and externally, signaling that this time matters and deserves protection. Protection preserves depth. Depth enhances quality. Quality accelerates progress. Progress reinforces belief. Belief strengthens commitment. Commitment sustains effort. Over time, these rituals transform focus from something you chase into something you enter deliberately, making attention more dependable even when the world around you is noisy and unpredictable. Another critical role of focus rituals is emotional regulation, because rituals calm the nervous system and reduce the anxiety that often accompanies demanding or uncertain work. When you begin focused sessions the same way each time, your mind learns that it is safe to engage deeply without needing escape or distraction. This sense of safety allows you to remain present with challenging tasks instead of seeking relief through interruption. Presence builds endurance. Endurance stabilizes concentration. Stable concentration supports long-term goals that require patience and repetition. Over time, rituals replace urgency with intention, helping you stay grounded even when progress feels slow or invisible. This grounding prevents burnout. Burnout avoidance preserves motivation, and preserved motivation allows focus to remain steady rather than fragile. Focus rituals also help you recover attention more quickly after distraction, because they provide a familiar pathway back into engagement instead of leaving you lost in mental fragmentation. When attention breaks, rituals act as anchors, guiding you back to your work without judgment or frustration. This ability to return calmly is essential, because distraction is inevitable in modern life. Calm return. Preservis momentum. Preserved momentum keeps progress alive. Progress builds confidence. Confidence reduces avoidance. Reduced avoidance increases willingness to begin again. Over time, this cycle strengthens your identity as someone who can regain focus rather than someone who is defeated by distraction. Ultimately, creating daily focus rituals transforms your relationship with attention, because focus stops being something you wait for and becomes something you practice intentionally. These rituals do not eliminate distraction, but they reduce its power by giving your mind a clear structure to return to again and again. When focus is ritualized, goals stop feeling distant and start becoming part of your daily rhythm. And when your goals live inside your daily rhythm, they are far more likely to survive in a distracted world that constantly tries to pull you away from what truly matters. One of the most difficult yet essential skills for staying focused on your goals in a distracted world is learning how to say no with clarity, confidence, and intention, because every yes you give to distractions, obligations, and low priority demands silently takes energy and attention away from what matters most. Many people struggle with focus not because they lack ambition, but because their attention is constantly fragmented by commitments that do not align with their long-term vision. When you say yes too often, your goals are forced to compete with everything else, leaving them undernourished and neglected. Learning to say no is not an act of selfishness, but an act of protection, because your goals require space, energy, and mental clarity to grow. Protection preserves focus. Preserved focus deepens engagement. Deeper engagement strengthens progress. And progress only happens when your goals are given room to breathe. Saying no becomes easier when you recognize that attention is a finite resource, not an unlimited supply, and every demand placed on it comes with an opportunity cost that is often invisible in the moment. When you overextend yourself, your focus becomes shallow, scattered, and reactive, making it difficult to engage deeply with anything meaningful. This fragmentation creates a constant feeling of being busy but unfulfilled, because effort is spread thin rather than concentrated. Clear boundaries restore concentration by limiting where your energy flows. Limited energy, when directed intentionally, becomes powerful. Power strengthens momentum. Momentum reinforces commitment. Commitment sustains focus. Over time, saying no becomes less about restriction and more about alignment, because you are choosing depth over noise and purpose over pressure. Another reason learning to say no is critical for focus is that distractions often disguise themselves as obligations, urgency, or opportunities, making them emotionally difficult to decline. When everything feels important, nothing receives the attention it deserves. Focus requires discernment, the ability to distinguish between what supports your goals and what merely consumes your time. Discernment clarifies priorities. Clear priorities simplify decisions. Simplified decisions reduce mental fatigue. Reduced fatigue preserves focus. Preserved focus protects long-term goals from erosion. Over time, this clarity builds confidence in your ability to choose wisely, reinforcing the belief that your attention belongs to you rather than external demands. Saying no also protects your emotional energy, because overcommitment creates resentment, stress, and exhaustion that quietly undermine focus even when you are technically working on your goals. When your schedule is overloaded, your mind remains tense, constantly anticipating the next demand instead of engaging fully with the present task. This tension fragments attention and increases the urge to escape. Through distraction, boundaries reduce tension. Reduced tension improves presence. Presence deepens concentration. Concentration strengthens performance. Performance accelerates progress. And progress becomes far more sustainable when it is supported by emotional balance rather than constant pressure. Ultimately, learning to say no is about reclaiming ownership of your attention in a world that constantly asks for it, because focus cannot survive in an environment where everything is treated as equally important. When you choose carefully where your energy goes, your goals stop being squeezed into leftover moments and start receiving deliberate, protected attention. This shift transforms focus from a fragile effort into a stable practice, allowing your goals to move forward steadily even amid distraction. And when your goals are given space, they begin to grow with clarity, confidence, and momentum. The final and most powerful mindset shift for staying focused on your goals in a distracted world is understanding that focus is not something you achieve once and maintain perfectly, but something you return to repeatedly with patience, awareness, and self-respect. Because distraction is inevitable, but abandonment is optional. Many people believe that losing focus means they have failed, and this belief creates shame that keeps them stuck in distraction longer than necessary. In reality, the ability to notice distraction and gently redirect attention is the true skill, and every return strengthens your capacity to stay aligned with your goals. This mindset removes pressure and replaces it with responsibility, allowing focus to become resilient rather than fragile. Resilience allows recovery. Recovery preserves momentum. Momentum sustains progress. And sustained progress is what turns goals into reality even in a distracted world. Returning to focus without self-judgment also protects your emotional energy, because harsh self-criticism drains motivation and creates avoidance rather than improvement. When you attack yourself for losing focus, your mind associates goal-related work with negativity, making distraction more appealing as a form of escape. Compassionate redirection works differently by acknowledging distraction without emotional weight and calmly choosing to return to what matters. This approach reduces resistance. Reduced resistance improves willingness. Willingness supports consistency. Consistency compounds results. Over time, this compassionate approach builds trust in yourself because you learn that distraction does not mean failure. It simply means attention wandered, and attention can always be guided back. Another critical aspect of returning to focus is learning to recognize early signs of drift rather than waiting until hours or days have passed, because awareness shortens the gap between distraction and re-engagement. When you catch yourself early, returning feels easier and less overwhelming. Early return preserves clarity. Preserved clarity strengthens direction. Direction stabilizes effort. Stabilized effort keeps goals alive even during chaotic periods. Over time, this skill becomes automatic, allowing you to course-correct quickly without emotional disruption. This ability to self-correct is what separates people who eventually achieve their goals from those who repeatedly restart without momentum. Returning to focus also reinforces identity, because each redirection is a vote for the person you are becoming rather than the impulses that temporarily pulled you away. These small choices accumulate, shaping your self-image as someone who values intention over distraction. Identity alignment reduces internal conflict. Reduced conflict conserves energy. Conserved energy supports endurance. Endurance that allows long-term focus. Long-term focus makes ambitious goals achievable even in imperfect conditions. Over time, returning to focus becomes less effortful because it is no longer a battle against yourself but an expression of your values. Ultimately, staying focused on your goals in a distracted world is not about eliminating distraction, achieving perfect concentration, or controlling every moment of your day, but about building a mindset that values direction over perfection and return over guilt. When you commit to returning again and again, your goals stop being fragile and start becoming inevitable. Focus becomes a practice rather than a performance, a choice rather than a struggle. And when focus is practiced this way, no amount of noise, interruption, or distraction can permanently pull you away from the path you have chosen. If this message helped you see focus not as a constant state you must force, but as a skill you can practice and return to, make sure you subscribe to Daily Global Motivation, because this channel is dedicated to helping you build clarity, discipline, and mental strength in a world that constantly competes for your attention. Like this video if it resonated with you. Comment below with one distraction you are choosing to let go of so you can protect your goals, and share this with someone who feels overwhelmed by noise but still believes in their future. Remember, focus is not about doing everything, it is about protecting what matters, and every time you return to your goals, you strengthen the version of yourself that refuses to be lost in distraction.